in deciding who will win the keys to the lodge. And the United Australia Party leader is hitting back at Labor's claims that a deal with them was never on the table. Anthony Albanese denying point blank on the show on Friday that Labor had any talks with Clieve Palmer.
Not once have we been talking to Clieve Palmer about preferences because we understand it's a recipe for chaos. A recipe for chaos. That's why we're putting One Nation and Clive Palmer. We're not in negotiations with them. We know what happened last time Clive Palmer was in Parliament. There was absolute chaos. People were swapping parties. Clive Palmer was falling asleep during question time. This is a recipe for chaos.
So to set the record straight, United Australia Party leader Clive Palmer joins us now. Clive, good morning to you.
Good morning, Deb. How are you going?
I am well. So tell us, has there been any approach from Labor at all about a preference deal?
Well, of course, I've been negotiating preferences with Labor since 2013. The law requires that all squares must be lodged, and their State Secretary in 2013, Anthony Chisholm, met with me then. He met with me in the 2015 state election, and he contacted and met with me this year to discuss preferences, and I'll be making a statement detailing all those meetings. It's disappointing that we've got politicians that lie, that Anthony Albanese is a liar. He doesn't even know, but it's different that we have people attacking people personally. All political parties have to number all their squares, and just because the Labor Party were unsuccessful, they shouldn't have sour grapes at the Liberal Party. It's just ridiculous.
Would you have ever considered a deal with Bill Shorten over preferences? He's been saying over the weekend that if Scott Morrison lies down with you, the government will get fleas.
Well, I was down in Parliament House. Bill came up to me at Aussies and said, "Hello, Clive, how are you?" He was very nice, a lot of palaver, that sort of thing. He would love to have our preferences, but we're not polling 5%. You know, that's what they've got in the news poll, and that's just fake news, of course. We're polling much higher than that. Do you think there'd be all this fuss if we were polling 5%? Of course we're not. We're polling much, much higher than that. And the other question is there's 28% of Australians that have yet to make their decision. They don't tell you about that in the papers. They don't give you the undecided in the news poll. So we're on track. We're not worried about preferences. We want Australians to vote for the United Australia Party and put Australia first and bring about real change and throw these politicians out. They're all in the same lot. They lie, lie, lie. That's all that Albanese and Shorten can do. It's not much of an example for our children not to tell the truth, to call other people names and to mislead the public. We should require a higher standard in public service. Now,
you do pride yourself on being a straight talker, so no spin or polywaffle here. Have you done a preference deal with the Liberals and Scott Morrison?
Well, we'll be announcing that later on today. We've been looking at all of the particular parties. We'll be announcing that at 1 o'clock today. But we're having a press conference. We can't give you all the news at once, but we can tell you that the Labor Party are not telling the truth, that Bill Shorten can't be trusted. He couldn't lie straight in bed. Either could Anthony Albanese. I'm disappointed in Anthony Albanese. I thought he was an honest person, but he's obviously not. So even Labor senators have contacted our people, our Senator Burst in the Senate, asking him for preferences as late as last Wednesday. It's just a lie.
And what has Scott Morrison promised you in return for your preferences?
Well, he'll be preferencing us, I suppose, if he did at a certain level. I've dealt with all the parties. They'll all be giving us different preferences. That's how politics functions in this country, unfortunately. But the main thing is that people vote one United Australia Party and bring about real change for a change. You know, the Liberal and the Labor Party spend $50 million, but other parties are not supposed to. They're not supposed to be on an equal footing or to be able to put their proposition to the electors, because what we're voting about is ideas, about what we care about this country. They don't care about you. They just fight with each other, the Labor Party, consistently.
I'm surprised that you have done a deal with Scott Morrison directly, because when you announced your return to politics last year, Scott Morrison likened you to a clown. He said that the circus doesn't need another sideshow. How can you do deals with someone who does insult you personally like that?
Well, firstly, I haven't done any deals with Scott Morrison. I've been dealing as head of our party with particular people of all the political parties. So it's not true to personalise these sort of things.
But you've done a deal with the Liberal Party, which he is the leader.
I'm not in favour. As I said, I'm not in favour of people calling people names from any person. It's just a distraction from the main issue. What the people of Australia care about is what's in it for them. What can they get? Better policies? What sort of future can they have for their children? Of course, our current lot of politicians want to avoid those issues. I haven't avoided them. Our party hasn't avoided them. They're on every billboard. They're in every advertisement across this country. The people of Australia know what we stand for, and on the 18th of May, they'll be voting for us to form government in Canberra.
Well, you certainly can't miss your TV ads and your billboards. As you say, they are everywhere. Can you clear up for us by the end of this campaign, how much would you have spent on financial advertising?
Well, the Liberal and Labor Party have spent between $50 and $60 million in the last election, and I think we'll be spending roughly about the same by the time of the election, because we want to be able to get ideas out there so that Australians have a choice for a change. You know, insanity is about doing the same thing over and over again for no result, and that's what Australians have done since the Second World War. Voted over and over again for the Liberal, the National Party, for no result. Time to make a change. Time to get this country going again and put Australia first. And together, all Australians can achieve the extraordinary.
All right, and there has been a lot of rumour and speculation about you as well, Clive. Can you clear up for us here today? Are you in financial strife? That's been alluded to. How much money are you worth these days?
Well, if you have a look at the recent polls on Australia, I think they've got me at about $4,000 million. I'm in terrible strife. It's really difficult, you know. And our companies are earning something like $400 million net profit a year. It's a terrible situation to be in. And the $50 million that you talk about is probably about 1 or 2 months' revenue. But it's worth it for this country. It's worth it to put Australia back on the right track, because I'm an Australian and I care about the Australians out there, and we're going to make a difference on the 18th of May.
So if you've got that much money to play with, Clive, why have you been dragging your feet for 3 years to pay the $7 million that workers are owed from your collapsed Queensland nickel refinery?
Because, as you know, I was a shareholder of a company for a start. Like you could be a shareholder of BHP. That doesn't make you personally liable for every debt of BHP, nor does it me of other companies that I invest in across the globe. We've given detailed press interviews explaining how the administrators sacked all those people. But tomorrow I'll be paying $7 million into a trust account so that that money can be dispersed among former employees of Queensland Nickel, not because I have to, because I want to, because I want to help Townsville. I want to make it a better place to live. The federal government, the state government, they're not doing all that they can do, and we have to do all that we can do to put Townsville back on the map and give everyone a good future.
But that money won't be going into the accounts of those workers until after the election. Why wait until then? You could just pause your ads for a couple of hours and it would be done. They'd have the money in the account.
Well, of course you're not listening. I said to you just a minute ago that I'll be paying $7 million into a trust account of a solicitor who will disperse that money to the workers that make the claims.
Will it go into their accounts prior to the election?
Well, it's up to them. They've got to come forward and verify that they were working for the company and that they qualify for the payment. It's not there for anyone else but former workers of Queensland Nickel. And a solicitor is administering that. It'll be in his trust account. OK,
so you've committed to that. What about the $70 million?
No, I'm not committed to it. I'm making the payment.
That's what I mean. You're committed to the payment.
Account.
So you're committed to making that payment?
It's gone.
So what about the $70 million that taxpayers stumped up to cover the entitlements? Will you also commit to pay that money back?
Well, of course, there's a dispute in the Supreme Court of Queensland, and the real issue is that we wanted to keep all the workers working. We offered to pay all their wages and to keep the plant going, and the administrator sacked everyone, and he incurred the liability. We think he should pay it because we don't want liquidators to wind out pay our companies without some sort of responsibility across this nation, as they do right across this nation. Anyone that's dealt with a liquidator knows he only cares about getting fees for himself. He doesn't care about workers or creditors. They need to be brought to account, and that's what we're going to do. And
Clive Palmer, when we did have Anthony Albanese on the show on Friday, he also took aim at you, saying that you fell asleep in Parliament and that you didn't turn up when you were in Parliament, and basically accusing you of not doing your job. What are you...
Well,
will you commit to doing that?
I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. Who cares about me? We care about this country.
What do you mean you're a bad person?
The policies we need to get done. We've got to stop about the fake news, people attacking individuals. We've got to talk about what we should do for the benefit of our children. Anthony Albanese doesn't talk about that because he just wants to divert attention off the real issues, because Labor's got no answers. Bill Shorten can't be trusted. He's not fit to be Prime Minister of this country. He's not fit to be a Member of Parliament. They should throw him out. You know, he's been subject to enough inquiries. I don't want to attack him. He doesn't matter. He's inconsequential. What matters is Australia. What matters is your children, and that they get a better future. And that's what they will get after the 18th of May, when the United Australia Party is in government in Canberra.
What do you mean when you're in government in Canberra?
That's what we mean. Why do you think we're standing in 151 seats across this nation? Because we intend to win. And that's why they're upset about the polls. That's why Bill Shorten's stuck his head in the sand, because he knows the real figures. He's got Labor Party polls. Don't believe what you believe in Newspoll. Where's the undecided in Newspoll? 28% of Australians not even considered. You know, we know what the real figures are, and we'll be there on the 18th of May, and there'll be a new government in Australia, and this will be a better place.
So Clive Palmer for PM?
It doesn't matter who the PM is, it matters what the policies are and how they're delivered for the benefit of our country. For too long, people have pandered to people on the media and the news and worrying what they think like and how they appeal. As I said, my wealth's $4,000 million. Do you think I give a stuff about what you personally think or anyone else? I care about this country. You know, my members of my family have died in the First World War, served at Tobruk and Kokoda. My nephew, Squadron Leader Martin Brewster, led our logistics team in Timor. They've done more for this country than I or you could ever do. We're not going to let them down or the Anzacs down on what they fought for or give up this country.
All right.
Believe me, I'm happy to invest $50 million in Australia and $50 million in your children's future.
All right.
God bless Australia.
You're making
Put
this
Australians
campaign
first.
interesting, that is for sure. Clive Palmer, we thank you for your time this morning, and we'll watch this space over the next few weeks of the campaign. May 18 here at Comes.
God bless Australia.
Good on you, Clive. Thank you.